What is up there, guys? My name is Sovrez, and today I am back bringing you another awesome Conan Exiles video. This video is going to show you, or not show you, but explain in a bit more detail the server settings for Conan Exiles. I've been getting a lot of questions lately since I put up the server settings and admin panel video. So I want to clarify and go through in a bit more detail as much of the server settings as I can. So without further ado, let's go ahead and do just that. So pop this open, we'll go to settings, server settings, and we'll go right through it. So general, this is the server password right here. This is where you can add a password to prevent any unwanted players from joining your server. Next up is the admin password. This is where you can add a password to allow players to have access to the admin panel. Then you have Battle Eye enabled. This is where, of course, you can enable Battle Eye for anti-cheating. PvP enabled. This box lets you allow PvP when checked. So when it's unchecked, the server's PvE. Pretty simple. Community, right here. This is a drop down. So this drop down menu allows you to label your server as one of the following: purist, relaxed, hardcore, role-playing, or experimental. These designations basically help other players to know what to expect when playing on your server. Server region. This drop-down menu allows you to state where your server is located, whether it be in the European Union, America, or Asia. Next, you have no ownership. This box prevents anyone from owning anything on the server. So it's some sort of crazy free-for-all of items, loot, structures, anything. Next, you have can damage player-owned structures. So this box allows you to enable by checking or disable by unchecking the ability to raid players' bases, outposts, and any other player-built structures. So this is where you can damage player structures, of course. Pretty self-explanatory. Next, you have enable Sandstorm. Of course, when this box is checked, it enables the Sandstorm mechanic of the server. Then you have the slider for max or clan max size. So this slider allows you to limit the number of players that can join one single clan. Designation at 30, but it can go to 60, all the way down to 1. So moving the slider to the right obviously increases the number of players that can join a clan, and moving the slider to the left decreases that number. Next, we have maximum nudity. Right now, you can set it to no, partial, and full. So basically, this drop-down menu allows you to set the server's allowance of nudity. So this server setting, as I said, can be no, partial, or full. But note, please know that even if the server allows full nudity, a player can choose to have the setting at no or partial on the client side and not have nudity when they play the game. Alright? So next we're going to go down to progression. And we are looking at player XP rate multiplier. So this slider allows a player to gain experience faster than normal, meaning the intervals at which the player would gain experience from time, a kill, harvesting, or crafting. Now if you move the slider to the right, it will increase the rate at which you gain experience. So for example, let's say you log into the game and the XP time multiplier is set to 1.0. See, XP time multiplier 1.0. Pretty good example, right? Let's say you're gaining 1 experience point every 5 seconds. Now if you move the player XP rate multiplier to 2.0, this one here, you are now going to gain 1 experience point every 2.5 seconds. So that tick of experience comes quicker. Alright? So it moves faster as the slider is moved farther to the right, and slower as it moves further to the left. Please note, this is a powerful experience booster. So use this one right here, the experience rate multiplier, with caution. Next you have the player XP time multiplier. So this slider allows a player to gain more or less experience at the rate, as adjusted from right to left, by just being in the game. So using the same example as above, let's say you just log into the server and you're just going to stand there. The example stated that you gain 1 experience every 5 seconds. Now, if you move this to 2.0, from 1.0 to 2.0, you would now gain 2 experience every 5 seconds. All right? So as you move it further down the line, I mean, you can go all the way like to 10, I think. Yeah. So you can gain a lot. All right? Let's put that back. All right. So next we have the Player XP Kill Multiplier. So this slider allows a player to gain more experience from killing minions, NPCs, and other players. Moving the slider to the right will increase the multiplier, thus giving more experience per kill. And moving the slider to the left will lower the experience gained, all right? Up next we have the Player XP Harvest Multiplier. So this slider, right here guys, allows the player to gain more experience from harvesting materials and resources. That means hitting a tree, breaking up rock, things of that nature. So you move the slider to the right to increase the amount of experience you gain. You move the slider to the left and you will lower the experience gained, all right? And last we have the Player XP Craft Multiplier. So this slider allows a player to gain more experience from crafting items, buildings, etc. And as with the others, moving the slider to the right will increase the amount of experience, and moving the slider to the left will decrease the amount of experience gained when crafting. All right, moving on to the day-night cycle. So right here we have day cycle speed. So this slider makes the server's day and nights come faster. For example, let's say the average day and night is 15 minutes each. So that's 30 minutes for a full day and a full night. Now, if you adjust the slider to the right, you are speeding up the cycle. So let's say we take this from 1.0 to 2.0. Using our example that we just spoke about, we would now have double the time. By double the time, I actually mean it moves faster, so it's half. So from 15 and 15, it becomes 7.5 to 7.5. Thus, the full cycle rotation is now only 15 minutes for a full day and a full night. So the cycle can be, it can be increased to make the days longer, the days and nights longer by moving it to the left. So if you put it on 0.1, they'd be extremely long. So this is something you want to be very careful about adjusting because it will greatly affect the settings we have there. However, the next one, this is a very common setting to adjust. So most servers like to decrease this or slide the button to the left. This essentially makes the days last longer. Using the same example from above, let's say your day is normally 15 minutes and you move it from 1.0 to, let's say, 0.7, right? Now, your days, instead of being 15 minutes, are actually 19.5 minutes long. All right? So please note that these times that I'm giving, these are just made up. I'm just pulling numbers out that are easy for me to do calculations in my head. I don't know if these are the actual server setting numbers, so please bear that in mind. Next, as you see, it's becoming nighttime. So next we have the nighttime speed. So this slider allows the server to have a longer, slide it to the left, night, or shorter, slide it to the right, night. It follows the same thing as the daytime speed. Next you have the dawn-dusk time speed. So this slider allows the server to increase or decrease the time between night and day. Now, as you know, the time between night and day are more commonly known as dawn and dusk. So you move it to the left, you make dawn-dusk time last longer. You move it to the right, you'll make the dawn-dusk time shorter. All right? And now we have catch-up time. Now you may be thinking, what the heck is that? And I was too, but then I figured it out. So this setting is used for a new player entering your server. It allows a new player to join the game at a certain time. See, it's set at 10, so that'd be 10 a.m. I believe it goes all the way up to 24, which will be midnight, all the way down to 1 a.m. So it's set for 10 a.m. so that the player joins with the maximum amount of, or not the maximum, but a good amount of day. So what this does is they join the game at that time, and they will continue to be at that time, at their own time, until the server catches up to them, at which point they will progress evenly with the server. So the catch-up time is just for new players to not be thrusted right in at midnight in the dark with no torches and nothing, and they're trying to wander around. Now, of course, you can do that if you're kind of sadistic, but, you know, let's try to be nice to the new guys. Next up, we have survival. And first, here, we have the Player Health Multiplier. Right there. So this slider allows a player to gain more health when leveling up and allocating points into health. This basically multiplies your health. Let's say you start off with 100 hit points. Every point you get adds 10. You move this to 2.0. You now have twice the amount of health. You now have 200 hit points, and every point you get gives you 20 hit points. Real simple. Move to the left, you get a lot less. All right? Then you have the Player Health Regen Speed Scale. This slider allows the player's health to regenerate either slower, move it to the left, or faster, move it to the right, after being hit or fighting. Just to regain your health, that's what this is. Player Stamina Multiplier, much like the Player Health Multiplier, this slider allows a player to gain more stamina when leveling up and allocating a stat point to the stamina stat. You move it to the left, you decrease that amount. You move it to the right, you increase that amount. All right, then you have the Stamina Cost Multiplier. So this is a little different. This slider adjusts the amount of stamina actions cost. So how much does it cost to do something? For example, sprinting, jumping, fighting, etc. Whatever. You're going to want to move the slider to the left to allow more of these actions by having them cost less, right? More actions because they cost less. Move it to the right, you do fewer actions because they cost more stamina. Pretty simple. I don't know. I don't care. I'm just leave it there. Then you have the stamina cost. Oh, which one? Wrong one. This is the one I was talking about. Then you have the Player Stamina Regen Speed Scale. Much like the Player Health Regen Speed Scale, this slider acts just like that. Move it to the left to slowly gain stamina back, or move it to the right to gain stamina back quickly. Player Active Thirst Multiplier. Real simple. This slider controls how fast you get thirsty and need water. Move it to the left, and you will need less water, or the same amount of water less often. Move it to the right, you're going to need water more often. Player Active Hunger Multiplier. Same thing, but works with food. Move it to the left, you need food less often. You move it to the right, you need food more often. Then we have here, logged out characters remain in world. So you can check this box to have player bodies remain in the world when they log out, or uncheck it and allow a player to fully leave the server upon logging out. Then you have drop equipment on death. So this box determines whether or not a player will drop all their tools, weapons, armor, and loot upon dying. You can uncheck this box to let a player keep their gear when they die. So when they die and they respawn, they'll have all their gear still on them. If it is checked, their loot and gear will still be on the body. And then you have something that goes along with that. Everybody can loot corpse. So this box allows anyone to loot a fallen player's body. So right now it's checked. So that means that a friendly player can help recover items, or a hostile player could claim spoils after a kill. You can uncheck this, and that means that only the player whose body it is can loot his or her own body. All right? Moving down to combat. So now we have the Player Damage Multiplier. This slider allows a player to deal out more damage to the right, or less damage to the left whenever you are attacking. Real simple. I mean, more damage, less damage. Pretty good. Player Damage Taken Multiplier. So this slider allows a player to receive more damage or less damage when being attacked. Moving the slider to the left will allow the player to take less damage and live longer, whilst moving the slider here to the right will have the player take more damage and possibly die faster. You know, great stuff. Then we have the Minion Damage Multiplier. So this slider allows a minion, right now, Thrall, no, your thralls, those are minions. Later in the game, I think you're going to be able to tame some animals, your pets. Those will also be minions. So this allows them to do less damage. This allows them to do more damage. To the left is less, to the right is more. Minion Damage Taken Multiplier. Same thing. This allows your minion to take less damage when you move it to the left. It allows your minion to take more damage and die faster when you move it to the right. Npc Damage Multiplier. Now the NPC are things like animals that are in the wild, hostile, NPCs, but hostile humans, undead things, everything that's just a non-playable character. So move the damage multiplier to the left, they take less damage. Move the damage multiplier to the right, they can take more damage. Or they can deal less damage to the left, they can deal more damage to the right. Then you have the damage taken multiplier. Now this one is the same. You move it to the left, they take more damage, or take less damage. You move it to the right, they take more damage. Npc Health Multiplier. So let's say your NPC has 100 hit points. You move it to the left, they're going to have less. They'll have like 90, 50. You move it to the right, they can have 200, 300, whatever. So less hit points, easier to kill, move it to the left. More hit points, harder to kill, move it to the right. Then you have your NPC Respawn Multiplier. So this slider determines how quickly NPCs, people, beasts, etc., will spawn back into the world after being vanquished. Moving the slider to the left will allow for more time to pass before they respawn, whilst moving the slider to the right will have them respawn back in quicker. Then you have your Durability Multiplier. This slider can allow tools, weapons, etc. to have more durability, meaning that if you slide the button to the right, you can essentially allow these items to last twice as long, 3 times as long, 10 times as long, or you can move to the left and they're just not going to last as long. So more crafting or repairing when you move it to the left, less crafting and repairing when you move it to the right. Now shield durability. This is the same thing as I just mentioned for durability, but it affects only shields. Move it to the right, your shield will last longer, you craft it and repair it less. Move it to the left, your shield won't last as long, you better be carrying a whole bunch of them. Scrolling down a little bit more, we have the Thrall wake up time. Now, as you see, this is not a multiplier, so it's just a straight time. So the Thrall wake up time is currently set for 600. This is the amount of time a Thrall will remain unconscious after being subdued. Moving the slider to the left will shorten the time. Right now it's 600 seconds, which I believe is 10 minutes. And then you have all the way down to 300, which is 5 minutes, and all the way up to 1200, which is, what, 20 minutes? So, yeah, I'll just throw it right there. And next you have your avatar lifetime. This slider also, not a multiplier, but a time. Right now set for 60 seconds. It can be increased by moving it to the right up to 120, and decreased down to 30. These are seconds. This is how long a summon avatar will last in the game. So if someone goes through all the trouble of summoning avatar and you have 30 seconds, they only get 30 seconds to destroy stuff. Or they get 2 minutes to destroy stuff. Then you have disable avatars. Pretty self-explanatory. You check the box and it doesn't allow avatars. You know, you leave the box unchecked and you can have avatars. Then we have harvesting. So now you have the item spoil rate scale. So this slider is going to allow you to adjust how quickly or slowly items, specifically food, will spoil or decay. All right. So moving the slider to the left will allow items to spoil slower, meaning they will last longer. Moving the slider to the right, items will spoil quicker. They will not last as long. Then you have your harvest amount multiplier. So this slider adjusts how much resource you receive from harvesting. Move the button to the left to decrease the amount you get. Let's say on 1.0 you get 10 resource per hit. You move it down, you're going to get like 1 resource per hit. You move it up to here, you're going to get 100 resource per hit. You know, left means you get less, to the right means you get more. Resource spawn speed multiplier. So this slider determines how quickly the rocks, trees, etc. respawn after being harvested for resources. Move the slider to the left and you will increase the time between despawn and respawn. So it takes longer to come back. Move the slider to the right and the resources will respawn faster. They come back quicker. Land claim radius multiplier. This slider allows for player-built structures to increase or decrease the land claimed around them. Moving the slider to the right will increase the land claimed around the structure. Moving to the left will decrease. So what that means is, let's say you put it over here and you increased it. This means that if a player builds a small house, another player will have to build their house even farther away than normal because of the land that's claimed by the original player built house. So this also affects any resources, rocks, trees, bushes, etc., as well as any NPCs that would spawn nearby. All right. Moving down to crafting. Crafting cost multiplier. This slider determines the crafting cost of items and structures. Moving the slider to the left will allow items and structures to cost less materials to craft. It's easier to craft them. Moving it to the right will mean that the crafting items and structures will cost more. It's harder to craft them. Crafting speed multiplier. This determines how fast items and structures can be crafted. Move it to the left, items and structures will take longer to craft. Move it to the right, items and structures will be quicker to craft. Structure damage multiplier. This slider allows a structure to deal more or deal less damage. This is deal, so it is a damage multiplier. So if you move it to the left, it'll decrease the amount of damage dealt. If you move it to the right, it will increase the amount of damage dealt. Then you have the structure damage taken multiplier. How much damage can a structure take? Moving it to the left will mean that the structure can take less damage and be destroyed more easily. Moving it to the right means that the structure will take, to the left means it will take less damage and be destroyed harder. To the right means it will take more damage and be destroyed easier. There you go. Words are hard. Then we have the structure health multiplier. So this slider determines the amount of health a structure has. If you move the slider to the left, you just took away a lot of the structure's hit points. You move it to the right, you just increased the structure's hit points. Player encumbrance. So this is, I don't think this is right, unless it's a European spelling. Here in America, we spell it encumbrance. There's no E, encumbrance. I wonder if that's a European spelling. If anyone knows if this is a European spelling, please let me know down in the comments below. I actually just didn't look that up, and I'm not going to. I want someone to tell me. But anyways, the player encumbrance multiplier. This slider determines how much weight a player can carry before becoming encumbered. Slide the button to the left to lower the amount of weight a player can carry effectively. Slide the button to the right to increase the amount of carrying weight effectively. All right. Then you have your player encumbrance penalty multiplier. This slider allows you to adjust the penalty of being encumbered. This means that if you're weighed down pretty heavily, you move slowly. If you're weighed down way too heavily, you ain't moving till you drop some stuff. So if you move it to the left, you will lessen the penalty. It takes more encumbrance percentage to become slowed and then fully stopped. You move it to the right, and it will increase the penalty, meaning that you're probably going to be stopped way sooner. All right, let's go down to chat. And here we go. Chat local radius. So this slider determines the in-game radius that local chat has. It's currently set to 5,000. I believe this is going to be meters, right? This is European stuff, so it's meters. So it goes from 0 meters to 20,000 meters. Pretty big. All right, that is basically saying that it's the chat. So You move it to the left, it's a smaller chat radius for local chat. You move it to the right, it's a larger chat radius for local chat. Then you have your max message length. Of course, it's pretty self-explanatory. This is how many characters that can be typed together in a single string. Currently set at 512. You can increase the number by moving it to the right all the way up to 1024, basically doubling it. Or you can decrease it to nothing. Don't let anyone say anything. Or you can just put it like right. Nope. Almost. Come on. 140. I can't do it. It's close enough. Can I move it more? No, I can't. All right. So 140. Oh, no. Here we go. 140. Ha. Perfect. So then everyone can just be sending out tweets. You know, chatting becomes tweeting. Hashtag something awesome. Chat has global. This box allows for global chat if checked and no global chat if unchecked. And lastly, you have region access controls. Region allow. These boxes allow a server admin to block players by various regions of the world. If you don't want to play with people from Africa, uncheck it. You don't want to play with people from North America, uncheck it. Right now you have Africa, Asia, Eastern Europe, Central Europe, Western Europe, North America, South America, and Oceania. Or if you don't want to take out an entire region, you can go by the block by country code. This field allows a server admin to block players from a specific country by adding the country code right in there. All right, and that is it. That is an overview of the server settings there. I'm not going to apply into that. I'm just going to get out of that. So there you go. If you guys enjoyed this video and you found it useful, please go ahead, find that thumbs up button, then click, flick, or hit it for me. It's really going to help me out. I really appreciate it. Let me know down in the comments below if you found this information to be helpful or not in setting up, maintaining, or just common knowledge. I don't know. If you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe for more awesome videos just like this one. And yeah, as always, my friend, I will see you next time. Bye-bye.